Generators for long-term rent. Multiways Engineering Private Limited.
What's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. Bringing you the news, I'm Mariam Ganamijaya.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
54 officers of the top brass at the police department changed. Imesha Muthumala appointed as director of CID. Changes to the top seat at the CCD and TID. Political activists stirring communal tensions again. If existing laws are insufficient, new laws will be brought to tackle racism. A statement from Minister Nalinda.
දේශපාලන අරමුණු වෙනුවෙන් ජාතිවාදය පාවිච්චි කරන්න එපා. සමහර අය මේ ඡන්දෙ ඉල්ලපු අය. ඡන්දෙ ඉල්ලලා සූදානම් කරලා ඊට පස්සේ සිලින්ඩරේ. එහෙම අය තමයි තමන්ගේ Facebook එකේ, TikTok එකේ, සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ගිණුම් වල මෙවැනි දේවල් කරමින් ඉන්නේ. ඒකට ඊට දෙන්න බෑ කතානායකතුමනි.
Advanced level examination that was temporarily suspended to resume from tomorrow. Aswasuma beneficiaries to receive allowances until March next year. Decision endorsed by the cabinet. Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra begins their journey in search of those in need.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
In your top story tonight, 54 senior police officers have been immediately transferred as part of a reshuffling of high-ranking positions within the police force. As a part of these changes, SSP Imesha Muthumala has been appointed as the director of the Criminal Investigation Department.
Meanwhile, senior police officer Mangala Dehideniya, who previously held this position, has been transferred to the Nugeguru division. These transfers were carried out with the approval of the National Police Commission.
Senior Superintendent of Police Imesha Muthumala has been appointed as the new director of the Criminal Investigations Department. She previously served as the Deputy Director of the CID. Deputy Inspector General HDKS Pereira has been appointed as the Director of the Terrorism Investigation Division. SSP IUK Lokuhetti is now leading the Colombo Crimes Division. He previously served as the Director of the Police Examination Division. SSP KB Manatunga has been appointed as the police spokesperson. DIG Nihal Talduwa, who previously served as the police spokesperson, has been appointed as the DIG in charge of the Crimes Division. SSP HM Lanka Ranjini Amarasena is the new director of the Special Investigations Unit. DIG AL UNP Lianage will oversee the Colombo district. GJ Chandrakumara, who previously served in the position, was appointed to the Police Field Force Headquarters. SSP Darshika Kumari, who served as the Director of the Computer Crimes Investigation Unit, has been appointed as the Commanding Officer of the Police Field Force Headquarters. SSP AA Edirimana is now the Director of the Human Rights Division. SSP KGPB Samarapala, who previously held that position, has now been appointed as the OIC of the Colombo North Division. SSP KJS Karuna Singha has been appointed as the Director of the Public Order Division. DIG SMY Seniviratna has been appointed as the Officer in charge of the Kurunagala Division. DIG LAU Sarat Kumara has been appointed as the Officer in charge of the Kegol Division. DIG RARN Rajapaksa has been assigned to the Police Cadet Division. SSP CMNT Kumara has been appointed as the Principal Administrative Officer of the National Police Academy. SSP KGPB Samarapala has been appointed as the officer in charge of the Colombo North Division. SSP Sugat Kumara has been appointed to the Colombo Central Division. SSP PMR Ambepitia has been appointed as the officer in charge of Kankasanture. SSP PJ Madara Arya Sena, who was formerly the director at the police headquarters, has been transferred to the Medical Service Division. SSP GGS Gunatilaka has been appointed as the officer in charge of the Ampara Division. SSP YB Krishanta will now lead the Kabitigolava Division. SSP SK Rupasingha has been appointed Director of the Police Examination Division. Superintendent of Police PS Jayamaha has been transferred from the Nugegoda Division to the Jaffna Division. SSP TK Vithanage has been appointed the officer in charge of the Kantale Division. SSP CC Bamunuarachi has been appointed personal assistant to the Inspector General of Police and acting director of police headquarters. SSP Mohan Lal has been transferred to the position of director of the Tourist Police Division. SSP AJ Gunasekara is now the director of the Child and Women Abuse Prevention Division. SSP KBK Pereira has been assigned to the position of director of the Ministry Coordinating Division. Superintendent of Police MN Jayapatma has been appointed as the director of the Western Province South Crime Division. Superintendent of Police Udaya Kumara is now the director of the Anti-Corruption Unit.
Chief Government Whip Minister Nalinda Jathisa, speaking in Parliament today, responded to various allegations levelled against the NPP government. He was responding to several points raised by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
Speaker Dr. Ashok Ranwala chaired the parliamentary sessions this morning. The debate on the policy statement presented by the President began today.
I would like to start with the discrepancy between what was said on the political stage and what is being done right now. We were told that the Prevention of Terrorism Act will be completely repealed. But now the Prevention of Terrorism Act is being used to deprive people of their freedom of speech, freedom of press and freedoms that the people must enjoy. Stop this suppression.
මේ මර්ධනය නතර කරන්න. විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා කිව්වා මහ පොළොවේ යථාර්ථය පිළිබඳව. මහ පොළොවේ යථාර්ථය තමයි ජාතික ජනබලවේගයට 159ක් සහ ඔබ.
The opposition leader spoke about the ground reality. The ground reality is that the NPP has 159 seats in parliament and your party has only 40 seats. We would like to honour this mandate and for parliament and the leaders of political parties to engage in their politics. Part of the mandate that we got and the reason we have come to parliament is to change the political culture that was rejected by the people. Those who question our government that was sworn in a few weeks ago, saying where is this and where is that, should realize that this is the country that they destroyed during the time of the previous governments that we are restoring now. The people have given this government some time. I would like to ask you to understand the psyche of the people before you act. As a government, we are taking steps to provide a 25,000 rupee subsidy for fertilizer per acre. The fishermen are getting some concessions. There was no mechanism to purchase paddy from the farmers in this country. That is how this issue on rice prices has come about. We as a government have focused our attention on the rice in the local market, the price of rice, and are supporting importers to bring down rice from overseas. The cabinet decided yesterday to extend the time period that the Aswasuma benefit is granted to existing beneficiaries from the 31st of January to the 31st of March. Thereby, the Aswasuma benefit granted to 400,000 people in the at-risk category will be given that benefit for another year. The government will take steps to increase the allowance of 8,500 rupees to 10,000 rupees. The government will also take steps to increase the 15,000 rupee allowance to 17,500 rupees. We remember the lies that were spread during the run-up to the election. They said that the economy will collapse if we come into power. They said that businesses will collapse. They said that the dollar rate will increase to 500 rupees. They said that the stock market will crash. They also said that the Aswasuma benefit will be slashed. The kingdom of their dreams has been shattered. Since they have been so unsuccessful, they have now embarked on a racist path to destroy the country. We will not allow racism to raise its head again. If the existing laws are insufficient, we will bring new acts to stop racism. Look at who are latching on to these racist statements. I will tell you about one person, the administrative secretary of the Podujana Peramuna. Look at his Facebook account. He has posted videos to promote the symbol of the LTTE. One of them is a municipal councillor for Kotte from the UNP. I think she is not even in the country. Go onto her Facebook page and see. Check her TikTok account. They are people who are intentionally doing this. These arrests have been made and the police will decide what acts to use to charge them in court. We respect the freedom of speech, publication and democracy. You may have insulted the president, the prime minister and even all of us. There is no issue there. But remember, do not use racism for political gain. The people you know are using this strategy. Some of them even contested the election. Some of them were preparing to contest for the election under the cylinder. It is these people who are posting this kind of content on their Facebook, TikTok and social media accounts. We cannot allow for that to happen, Honorable Speaker. There is a gazette that has been issued on the 29th of August 2011 banning the publication of symbols, flags and other symbols associated with this terrorist organization. Look at the social media pages of these people who were arrested, and if they have not taken these posts down, you will see that they are the ones who had publicized these symbols. It is against them that this law is being enforced. Therefore, if a family member dies, a person has the right to commemorate it. We have given them that right. Even that statement had been misinterpreted and published on mainstream media, quoting the Minister of Public Security. This is what it has come to. Do not go there. As the Minister of Media, I urge the media to understand the mandate of the people and act accordingly. Let's act like that. If the people have reached this point, the media can do it too. If you want to defeat us, criticize us on the truth. We are ready to calmly listen to you.
ඇත්ත විවේචන කරන්න. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. අපි තාම සංයමයෙන් ඒවා හුඟක් දෙන සූදානම්.
A protest was held today at the entrance to Parliament, organised by former members of Parliament Premanatsi Dolawatha and Madhura Vithanage, who accused the government of oppressing social media activists. The protest saw a group including trade union activists of the New Democratic Front and Samaki Janabala Vegya.
Recently, we saw activists linked to the LTT organization posting photographs on their social media. The Minister of Public Security also said that no cutouts, banners or posters related to the LTTE should be displayed. However, the police have not yet arrested or brought to court anyone who had publicly praised terrorists. In contrast, social media activists in the south have been arrested and brought to court simply for sharing these images on social media.
Meanwhile, Janitha Chaturanga, a candidate from the United National Party who was arrested on charges of promoting racial propaganda through social media, has been remanded until the 17th of December after being produced before the Bathega Magistrates Court today. He was arrested by the Computer Crime Investigation Division on the 30th of November. A group of political and civil rights activists held a silent protest in Bathega today against the oppression of social media activists.
මේක ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී රටක් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ තුල අයිතියක් තියෙන ඕන කෙනෙකුට අදහස් ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න සමාජ මාධ්‍ය කියන්නේ පුළුල් ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨයක් ඒකේ පරාසය ඉතා පුළුල් ඒකෙදි තීරණය කරන්න බෑ මේ පෝස්ට් එක මුලින් නිර්මාණය කරගෙන කවුද ෂෙයා කරගෙන කවුද ජනතාව මෝඩ නැහැ ජනතාව දැනුවත් වෙලා ඉන්නේ ජනතාව දන්නවා මර්ධනයෙන් කවදාකවත් ජනතාව වළක්වන්න බෑ ඒ නිසාවෙන් රජයට යෝජනා කරනවා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මේ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය දඩයම නවත්තන්න
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, speaking at the Cabinet media briefing this afternoon, clarified matters regarding the incident.
We have previously made our stance clear on the Prevention of Terrorism Act. We are prepared to repeal it. We are ready to bring new laws for national security that would be accountable to the people. However, combating racism cannot be achieved through this law. If that were the case, the police should investigate and pursue cases under the existing laws one by one. It is evident that this is a well-orchestrated effort. This is Renuka Dushyantha Perera, the Administrative Secretary of the SLPP. As you can see, he is displaying the LTTE flag on social media and promoting the organisation. Then there is Harshani Sandruani, a former UNP member of the Koti Municipal Council. According to police reports, about 40% of the people who were found to have published these flags and logos are Podujana Peramuna activists. If anyone attempts to disrupt the nation's unity for political gain, the government will implement laws against it. Tomorrow, the Minister of Public Security will make a statement in Parliament regarding this issue. We want to assure you that we will not use these laws to restrict freedom of expression or suppress any form of speech.
Several factions shared their views with the media today regarding the arrest of 4 protesters during yesterday's demonstration staged by a group of school development officers.
A group of school development officers staged a protest in front of the Ministry of Education yesterday, demanding teaching appointments. Four protesters were arrested by the police and 3 officers were injured in an attack involving a sharp weapon.
The majority of the protesters were those who voted for the government, believing their problems would be solved. Yet this attack was launched against them. 4 individuals were arrested following the attack. These are the teachers who educate our children. A week ago, we wrote to the Minister of Education requesting a discussion with the Teachers Union, Development Officers Union and School Development Officers Union. However, the Ministry of Education and the Secretary did not give us a chance for a discussion. We condemn the use of the police force to carry out this attack just like the previous government.
The All Ceylon School Development Officers Union also shared views on this matter in Kandy.
In the school system, the school development officer has been involved in teaching and learning process for almost 5 years. They are currently performing all of their duties of a teacher, working as a teacher in the morning and as a development officer in the evening. This is not even a profession that applies to us. We are doing this for others. Therefore, give value to this young labour force. Don't dismiss them solely based on the constitution.
The issue concerning development officers was discussed in Parliament today.
An unfortunate incident occurred where 3 police officers were injured, with 1 requiring 18 stitches. This was reported by the media. These are events that should never have occurred. As trade union leaders representing the working class, we have organized protests with tens of thousands of people in the past. However, such incidents have never occurred before. There is a teachers' service constitution in place for recruiting teachers, just like there are regulations for every other service. What are they saying? They claim that they should be recruited in violation of this constitution. The argument is that such recruitment was done in the past. However, the National People's Power Government is not here to repeat the mistakes of the past. The National People's Power Government is here to correct those mistakes.
දැන් මේ රටේ අධ්‍යාපන ඇමතිට බැරිද මේ උපාධිධාරීන් ටික ආවයින් පස්සේ එවැනි සාකච්ඡාවක් දීලා තිබුණා නම් මේ රණ්ඩුව මෙතරම් දුරද යන්නේ නැහැ.
අද එදා ඒ වෘත්ති අයිතිවාසිකම් වලින් පෙළීමෙන් පෙනී හිටපු
Many of those who stood for those rights are now members of parliament and ministers in the ruling party. However, those who were tear-gassed for those very rights are now questioning whether it was fair. Those who went to the Ministry of Education seeking a discussion are now wondering if the current government will act differently, or if it will follow the same pattern as previous governments. Public is left uncertain about whether the promises made will truly be fulfilled.
ඔබ කියපු දේවල් වෙනවද නැද්ද කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ සමාජය තුළ තිබෙනවා.
Yesterday, when that incident occurred, the cabinet was convened and discussed the issue. My proposals were presented and approved during that time. It was then that the protest took place. These individuals were wronged not by us, but by the previous governments. However, they believed that we would intervene to resolve this issue. We did not deploy the police against their protest at all. The police took action based on the situation that arose at that moment. I want to emphasize that this was not an action aimed at suppressing the protests.
Do you agree that it was a mistake not to inform the cabinet that a proposal has been submitted before the protest began? If it had been communicated, there would not have been any conflict at that time.
They were invited to meet with the Deputy Minister and Secretary who were supposed to be discussing the matter in the cabinet. However, they refused. That is what happened at that time.
ජාතික පාසල් සහ පළාත් පාසල් සේවය කරන සංවර්ධනධාරීන් 15800ක් පමණි.
There are around 15,800 development officers working in national and provincial schools. We recognized this issue some time ago, and yesterday the Honorable Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya, who is also the Minister of Education and Higher Education, presented a cabinet paper to address it. The cabinet approved setting up 2 committees to look into the problem and find sustainable solutions for graduates who were informally recruited into the public and provincial service. The first committee, led by the Honorable Prime Minister, includes the Minister of Public Administration, the Deputy Ministers and Economic Development, Education and Higher Education and Vocational Education. The second committee will be managed by the Prime Minister's Secretary. The reports from these committees will be key to solving the challenges these graduates face. It has not even been 2 weeks since we took office as ministers. I ask everyone affected to give us some time to carefully study the issue and find the best solutions. There is no need to fight. You can speak with us regarding any issue. Let's discuss and resolve these issues. We are here to work for you. I ask them not to create unnecessary clashes.
U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs, Donald Lu, is set to undertake an official visit to Sri Lanka this week.
U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs, Donald Lu, will travel to India, Sri Lanka and Nepal from the 3rd to the 10th of December. According to the U.S. Department of State, his trip aims to strengthen cooperation with key partners in South Asia to promote regional prosperity and security. On the 5th of December, Assistant Secretary Lu is set to arrive in Colombo, Sri Lanka, to advance U.S.-Sri Lankan joint efforts to promote sustainable economic growth, combat corruption, and strengthen people-to-people ties. USA Deputy Assistant Administrator Anjali Kaur and Department of the Treasury Deputy Assistant Secretary Robert Kaproth will join the Assistant Secretary to meet with senior government officials from Sri Lanka's new administration and representatives from civil society. According to the U.S. Department of State, discussions will deepen ties with the new government, support its efforts to combat corruption, and explore how the United States can support Sri Lanka's governance and the economic reform agenda through tailored technical assistance, capacity building, and development programs. In news-making headlines tonight, the Department of Examinations has announced that the GCE advanced level examinations, which were postponed due to the recent extreme weather conditions, will resume tomorrow.
The exams will proceed according to the original schedule until the 20th of December. Candidates are asked to follow the dates provided on their admission cards for this period. As for the exams that were postponed, they will now be held between 21st and 31st of December. The exam originally scheduled for the 27th of November will now take place on the 21st of December. The exam originally scheduled for the 28th of November will now be held on the 23rd of December. The exam originally scheduled for the 29th of November will now be held on the 27th of December. The exam, which was originally scheduled for the 30th of November, will take place on the 28th of December. The exam scheduled for the 2nd of December will be held on the 31st of December.
The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra began its journey this morning from the Sirasa TV head office in Colombo, aiming to support those affected by the recent extreme weather conditions. Essential items are being distributed to communities in the northern and eastern provinces.
The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra began its journey from Colombo this morning, following multi-religious observances. Leader of the Gammadha movement and the group director of the MTV-MBC media network, Siobhan Daniel, and other top officials joined this event. Over the past 2 days, people visited collection centres located at the Sirasa TV head office, Union Place, Colombo 2, Old Kadiresan Vajira Pillar Kovil Bambalapitiya, Sri Venkateshwara Mahavishnu Kovil, Nadimala Dehivala, Shirdi Sai Centre of Sri Lanka, New Chetty Street, Grand Mosque of Colombo, and donated essential items to support those affected by adverse weather. 4 teams were dispatched to Mana, Batiklo, Mullaitivu and Ampara to distribute relief packages. The teams which left this morning arrived at their destinations by evening. In the Batiklo district, relief packages were distributed to those affected in Chenkaledi and Kaluwankeni. Newsfirst correspondents reported that relief packages were distributed to the people in several areas of the Mana district. The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra is on its way to assist affected people in Ampara and Mullaitivu.
Newsfirst, with the people.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Generators for long-term rent. Multiways Engineering Private Limited.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Welcome back to the news. In more local news, an event to mark 6 years of USAID-funded SCORE's impactful work fostering peace, reconciliation and inclusive development in Sri Lanka was held in Colombo. The joint learning event on social cohesion was held in Colombo yesterday.
We need to invest in social cohesion. There is no way that we are going to be able to build the kind of society, the kind of economy that Sri Lanka needs and deserves without addressing the past, without addressing the root causes of a lack of social cohesion. They're an integral part of the recovery process and of economic development. You can count on the United Nations, on international partners to accompany you, to support with coordination, with resources, and with implementation. But of course, we need your vision, we need your drive, we need your political will in order to be able to support you in the best way possible.
Now, with recent peaceful elections marking this new era in Sri Lanka, we're committing once again to working with all of you and to build a solid foundation for the work ahead. Political will is the first foundational element, and we believe we've seen that with the President's remarks and the Minister of Justice's new pledge to forge ahead in these responsibilities during these very challenging times. So as we really engage all stakeholders, as a minister takes on this responsibility to listen to all the stakeholders, I hope that we keep each other accountable, donors, civil society, media, government, that we continue to keep each other accountable on the pledge that everybody has made for the betterment and inclusion of all Sri Lankan citizens across the country.
How can a country go forward, economically or socially, when people are hurting and wounded? We have fought long enough. So therefore, government pledge is social cohesion, peace building, one Sri Lanka, and that's about it. So we are taking some decisions which are not politically very popular because we believe that is the right thing to do. But our challenge is to win their trust. And above all, we have to restructure the attitudes of the government service. That's what has to be restructured.
The program aimed to unite communities, empower local leaders and strengthen efforts for lasting harmony.
The second International Symposium on Drug-Related Studies in December 2024 was held in Colombo today.
The second International Symposium on Drug-Related Studies 2024 themed Balance and Coordinated Strategy for Building a Drug-Free Community with Active Citizen Engagement was organized by the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board in Sri Lanka in partnership with the Japan International Cooperation Agency. High-ranking officials of the Sri Lanka Police and the Navy along with other officials attended the symposium.
Drug abuse and trafficking remain among most pressing public security concerns globally. In Sri Lanka, while significant progress has made in combating this threat, the challenges are evolving, requiring adaptive and forward-looking strategies. Ministry of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs remains steadfast its commitment to safeguarding our nation from scores of charges. The ministry is fully engaged and dedicated to facilitating drug supply reductions, demand reductions initiatives, with both Sri Lanka Police and NDDVC operating under the ministry's purview.
The symposium aims to bring together experts and stakeholders to discuss evidence based on research and best practices in drug prevention and control.
A one-day workshop on the EU Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive was held in Colombo today.
Joint Apparel Association Forum, in collaboration with Solidaridad, hosted a one-day workshop on the EU Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive.
Once a country graduates on the World Bank's classification and becomes a lower middle-income country, it loses that privileged access and then moves to GSP+. That gives privileged access. But there is an even more privileged access, that is the so-called GSP+, that 8 countries have. That is something countries can apply for. And to do that, they need to ratify 27 international conventions, and they have to effectively implement those conventions. If they do that, they have duty-free access to the EU market for 66% of all budget lines. And Sri Lanka is one of those countries. So last year, you all know we had the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. It was not a good year for exports in Sri Lanka, but Sri Lanka still exported to the European Union 2.6 billion for 2.6 billion euro and imported from Europe 1.1 billion. So you had a trade surplus of 1.5 and the total trade of 3.7 billion with the European Union makes the European Union the largest trading partner to Sri Lanka.
The Netherlands is the 7th largest export destination of Sri Lanka. That is because most exports are entering the European markets via the port of Rotterdam. The European Union, just like my colleague Mr. Bredal just pointed out, is Sri Lanka's largest trade partner, before the US, China or India. It is therefore important for US representatives of the textile and apparel sector to understand what Dutch and European consumers demand, to know about European customs and taste. The Sri Lankan products still meet challenges in terms of environmental, labor and origin standards. You're not there yet. Besides that, under the new regulation, goods must comply strict with requirements in quality and design in the EU market. Meeting those requirements of corporate sustainability would give Sri Lankan businesses a comparative advantage over competitive textile producing countries.
An MOU was signed between the Joint Apparel Association Forum and Solidaridad. Tailored for Sri Lanka's textile, garment and leather sectors, this session provided essential tools to stay competitive in the EU market.
A court in Vietnam has upheld a death sentence for a real estate tycoon after rejecting her appeal against a conviction for embezzlement and bribery.
Vietnamese property tycoon Truong My Lan has lost her appeal against her death sentence for masterminding the world's biggest bank fraud. The 68-year-old is now in a race for her life because the law in Vietnam states that if she can pay 75% of what she took, her sentence will be commuted to life imprisonment. In April, the trial court found that Truong My Lan had secretly controlled Saigon Commercial Bank, the country's 5th biggest lender, and taken out loans and cash over more than 10 years through a web of shell companies amounting to a total of $44 billion. Of that, prosecutors say $27 billion was misappropriated and $12 billion was judged to have been embezzled, the most serious financial crime for which she was sentenced to death. On Tuesday, the court said there was no basis to reduce Truong My Lan's death sentence. However, she could still avoid execution if she returns $9 billion, 3/4 of the $12 billion she embezzled. According to reports, it's not her final appeal, and she can still petition the president for amnesty.
France's minority government is on the brink of collapse after Prime Minister Michel Barnier used her special powers to force through his budget without a vote in Parliament. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier risks being deposed by a hostile parliament this week after his government pushed through a social security financing bill that faced opposition from both the right and the left. The Conservative Barnier, who formed a minority government in September after an inconclusive general election, is now facing a no-confidence vote that could force him to quit. The parliamentary group leader of the far-left France Unbowed Party said after Barnier's announcement that France's leftist political bloc will lodge a no-confidence motion to topple Barnier. Far-right National Rally Party leader said her party would table its own no-confidence motion but would also vote against Barnier in any no-confidence motion put forward by other parties. If all National Rally lawmakers vote with the left to topple Barnier, the government will not survive. M Entertainment, Sri Lanka's most prominent music and entertainment brand, reached a monumental milestone, celebrating its silver jubilee.
We leave you tonight with the details of the celebrations.
Good night. M Entertainments marked a major milestone, its 25th anniversary. The event brought together the senior management from the Capital Maharaja Group and the M Entertainments team to celebrate a quarter century of success. The CEO of M Entertainments reflected on the company's journey.
25 years ago, M Entertainments was born out of a dream by my late chairman, Mr. Raja Mahendran, to create a platform where music could thrive, where talent could shine, and where Sri Lankan voices could echo across the world. It was not just a business. It was a mission, a passion, and a promise to ourselves and our artists to make music a universal language. As we look back on these 25 years, we also look forward to the future. The music industry is evolving, and so are we.
Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shevan Daniel, spoke about the company's growth and its impact on the entertainment industry.
We have a very unique tradition of music in Sri Lanka. And I believe that this uniqueness, this heritage of becoming a microcosm of the Indian Ocean rim for music gives us a very, very special opportunity to take this brand of music to the rest of the world. This is the reason that Freddie and the team have worked really hard over the past maybe 1 year to solidify partnerships with international brands like Warner Music, Universal, Sony, and Virgin. And those partnerships have been very successful, and they provide us with the platform that we need for 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 of these fantastic beats that we have in this country to go global. And I think it's only a matter of time.
Chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group also spoke about the early challenges and thanked the dedicated team and strong partnerships that fueled M Entertainment's rise.
This is also 25 years of overcoming adversity. But our team there, who have been there right through this, they continue to innovate and re-engineer themselves and turn this into a success. And then they leveraged all these international agreements they had and partners they had, and we got into the music business more seriously.
The event concluded with a cake-cutting ceremony to celebrate the milestone.